Hey, this is Shane,
And this is Keith.
and we are Seekers of the
Unknown. Yo, 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 what's up?
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 7.
Seven. Lucky number 7. And today we have some really cool stuff in store for you. Today, we decided to do this episode on a little group of secret, people called the Majestic 12.
12.
There's 12 of them, and they're pretty majestic. So, there you go. Thanks for listening.
The end.
Now, so this subject is kind of cool because I kind of got into this early too, through, as always, Jedi Mind Tricks. Shout out to Jedi Mind Tricks, hip hop group from Philly from like the 90s, but they had a song where they referenced the Majestic 12, and during the time I was like trying to like dissect every line of like a couple of their songs, and I was like, Majestic 12, that sounds sick. And then I kind of dove into that, which, we're going to let everybody here know all about the Majestic 12 and what we think and what everybody else thinks. So, here we go.
Let's go. Let's do it.
So, you must be there wondering either like, oh, I know who the Majestic 12 are, or you're like, I have no idea what the Majestic 12 are. Kind of sounds like superheroes or something. Like, the Majestic 12, they all have like some kind of ability and they fight, alongside the Avengers or something. Fantastic Four, Majestic 12.
There's nothing majestic about this.
No, I think it was just like a name they gave them because there was just 12 of them. It sounds cool, probably. So, basically, all right, so we have to do another history lesson, going back in time to the time of President Truman?
Truman.
Yes.
47 Truman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
President Truman. So they've pretty much created an organization of like scientists and military leaders and government officials, 12 of them, to talk about basically like aliens and UFOs and pretty much the mystery behind that, to keep it secret, disclosed, within closed doors. I know a lot of it had to do with the Roswell crash.
Yeah, I believe that's when it was formed,
Yeah.
is when the Roswell crash happened. And if I'm not mistaken, the Majestic 12 are out of Area 51.
Yeah.
That's where like their
Base of
headquarters
operations
was, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially they were formed, the Majestic 12, to take over the Roswell crash and pretty much hide it.
Yeah. They knew all the secrets behind it, kept it, tight knit, made sure nothing leaked out, and I think it stemmed from there. Just kind of like was a thing. I don't know if it ended up disbanding. Some people say they're still around and kind of like evolved. It's not just 12 people, obviously, but it kind of just like.
I think that's what started like our government's first sector of extraterrestrial UFO kind of agency.
Yeah, and it would make sense because that's like a time where, a lot of that activity was happening.
That was very big around that time.
So now the government's like, whoa, like what's going on here? All right, let's keep this under wraps. We can't let this seep out, even though over time it kind of did seep out here and there. We'll get to that. But that's kind of like how people found out, like ufologists and stuff found out even about the Majestic 12, is because in like 80, I forgot, like 85 or 86, there's this guy, ufologist guy, who said he was in possession of the actual, like a bunch of documents that were addressed like only to the Majestic 12, like for MJ12 eyes only or magic eyes only.
He said they were like sent to him, right? Like anonymously.
Yeah.
It was like him and one other ufologist
Yep.
both got like the identical sets of documents.
Yeah, and I even heard that they were taking too long to like come out with it. So they were hitting up other like people, giving them other information because there's the Majestic 12 or the MJ 12 documents, and then there's like a memo that somebody sent that was between one of Eisenhower's assistants. I think it's called the Cutler Twining memo, and it's between Eisenhower's assistant Robert Cutler to General Nathan Twining, who's one of the Majestic 12, which will actually go down the list. I have the list here of all 12 of them. Um, and it had referenced the Majestic 12 in that memo too. So there's a couple different, articles of documents or whatever saying that or referencing the Majestic 12. Let me go through the list because these are actual people that existed, the members that were listed. And I have it here. It's Lloyd Berkner, Detley Brunk, Vannevar Bush. Some of these names are crazy. James Forrestal, pretty easy. Gordon Gray, Roscoe H. Hillenkoetter, Jerome Clark Hunsaker, Donald H. Menzel, Robert M. Montague, Sidney Sowers, Nathan Twining, who I just referenced, and Hoyt Vandenberg. And these are all legit real people. Like, you can look up every single one of these people from, like, back then.
I know some of them were, like, in the military, and then some of them were just claimed to work at Area 51, but obviously, if you look it up, it's all discredited, and they're not going to tell you who actually worked there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. A little quick thing about Area 51. I was watching I like to watch YouTube videos that are, like, a top 20 images that the government doesn't want you to know about, or just little factual things. And the thing I was watching was like top, it was like places, or yeah, it was like images that like are out there and people don't really think about, but like were like kind of leaked out there.
Yep.
And one of them is like this guy was, Area 50. They established that Area 51 is a thing. They say it's like for like research equipment, like research or whatever testing. So there's this guy, I forgot his name, but he was flying home. And you're not supposed to like, go over the forbidden airspace over there. But I guess he radioed them and was like, yeah, I live in the area and I was just like flying over to go home. I have like some old like plane or whatever. And they're like, fine, that's fine. But they didn't know he had like a GoPro. So like he like flew by it and took kind of like pictures of like the layout of Area 51 and stuff like that. You can look it up online. It's kind of wild. You can't really see anything happening there, but you can just see like the layout of like the buildings and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Awesome. And that's like Area 51 is like we said, was like the base of operations of like the Majestic 12. I don't know if they were like just like a hive mind of just. I know you like we said Roswell kind of triggered like was the cause of it. We can get into that too because like some of the documents that talk about what happened at Roswell and like the alien.
Yeah.
The EB thing.
Was it EB1?
EB1.
But I mean, it would make sense. Roswell, to me, for our country, that would be like the first like biggest UFO extraterrestrial incident that we've had. That's what I would say would be like the first like huge one.
It's the most well-known documented one too.
So I mean, anybody, even in your regular job working, I would think of it as like if you had a problem, you would obviously assemble a team to like look at the situation, go over it, try to solve the situation, and you have to clean it up. So for there not to be some sort of 12 members put together to like go deal with this, that's to me where I would believe that there had to have been some sort of group like that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because like you said, there's groups to deal with anything, any kind of problem, whether it's like you said at work or even just like the government in general. Like they have, like CIA and FBI for a reason.
Yeah, they have task forces. You
SWAT
have
teams.
You have hazmat crews. You have all these different groups of people that respond to an incident, there's no way there isn't
Yeah.
that side of it.
And during a time where like things like Roswell were happening, and they see it as obviously like military standpoint, it's like, where did this come from? What like potential could this to like be to like harm us? Or we don't know where this came from, the technology, something foreign. Like at least like humans have the tendency to like just think everything's out to get them, kind of, instead of like trying to reason with something. It's like you see it as a threat.
Right.
So, and then you're gonna want to find something to do with that too. I don't know, but Majestic 12 came from that. Um, I,
Do,
I kind of wish I could be a part of the Majestic 13. If I was around back then, that would be cool.
so so if Majestic 12 was started in 47, I believe that's when the Roswell crash was.
Yep.
And Truman, he had his side of believing in the extraterrestrial stuff, but keeping it secret.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have next in line, you have Eisenhower, and then you have supposedly the pact that he made with the Greys.
Yep.
And there was government officials with him for that. I would think that would be the Majestic 12 as well. I would think at this point they're handling all of our ET situations.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, exactly. They're like the alien committee. It's kind of crazy that Truman, Eisenhower, it's just like that's like the era of all this crazy alien shit, and there's a lot of speculation about Truman with it, with the Majestic 12, and Eisenhower with the Greys.
Yep.
And it's like, coincidence, there is a lot of speculation out there saying that the documents. I actually have the documents too, like like in front of me right now, and it has like bogus like written over it. So I might get into a little bit of the contents of the documents, but I'm not gonna like go through all of it. But a lot of it says like bogus written over it because I guess the FBI like apparently like looked into it, and they're like, oh, these documents are not of this time, are not like arranged this way, or like the signature was legit, but like everything else about it like wasn't, like the headers and the whatever. And I'm just like, I don't know. That raises even more questions. It's like there, it could A, be real, actually be bogus, or B, it could also be like them trying to deter people away, or try to shoot some misinformation out there to throw everybody off, so everybody's just like, oh yeah, maybe this doesn't make sense.
It seems to me like the FBI is never going to admit that any leaked paperwork is factual. They're going to discredit it. And we even saw when our government released all the UFO documents last year, was it last July?
Yeah.
That they were so butchered and stripped in to the point where there is no information in it. And then the FBI goes, yeah, those are real documents. Yeah, because you took everything out of it that we were looking to finally see was real. You took it all out, and then you say, yeah, it's good. So to me, if they didn't put the documents out and somebody else leaked them, they're not going to say that they're real.
Yeah.
So back to your point of, and anybody listening, if you look it up, they're going to tell you the documents are fake.
Yeah. And then I did see some things saying that potentially it's like not an original copy, or like somebody altered the copies and changed it around, because obviously, like you said, they don't want actual information being out there. They're going to try to like mask it as best as they can, and that in turn like A, keeps the information private, and B, deters people away, and like gets them disoriented or whatever, like, oh, this doesn't make sense, kind of thing.
Right. But
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at some of these documents now, trying to find. It's like kind of hard format to look through. Um, Kind of wanted to talk about the whole thing with EB1 with the Majestic 12. Um,
now I know we touched a little bit on uh, EV1 with supposedly that being the alien that was found at Roswell, and they took it back to Area 51, and they did an interview with it. If you look it up online, you'll see um, there's a video out there, again, supposedly leaked, of the interview with the alien.
yeah, I remember reading it. Oh, that'd be sick to find that. But yeah, I remember reading that. It's pretty insane, actually.
I think we touched on it when we did the episode on the Greys,
Yeah,
because he was a Gray.
he was. Yeah, and we found out like the constellation that the Greys are originally from, which is the Zeta Reticula
Yep.
constellation. All because of
And even in
EV.
those documents, it talks about where they're from.
Yeah, it just says like for magic eyes only all over it. Possible disclosure of classified information regarding Operation Majestic 12, espionage, all kinds of wild stuff. And like these are very easily accessible. Um, Honestly, you can just like Google Majestic 12 documents and they're there. Um, Probably should have screenshot it the main points of this because there's kind of a lot. Um,
So, from what I know, I believe there's only two copies, right? There's only two copies of these documents,
yeah.
and they were burned. If you see the copies, they were clearly thrown in a fire, tried to obviously be destroyed, but somehow two copies made it out.
Hmm.
And if you look up the copies online, you'll see the burn marks and everything. And there are some people that say that the error of the paper is correct to the time and everything, but as you had said, it looks like some of it is messed with, other than the signature being correct.
Yeah, you were saying that somebody like did some kind of like um, analysis of the paper.
Yeah, there was. I guess it would be like a historian. I know a lot of historians will go over the papers and everything
Hmm.
and look for authenticity. And the guy said that he looked at them. Yeah, they were burned, but the way they were burned, it wasn't faked. It wasn't like somebody took a lighter and burnt the edges of it and
Hmm.
tried to make it look like it had been in a fire. These papers, they were thrown on a fire in a stack. In the way that the burns are through the papers, it shows that they were actually in a fire and it wasn't mimicked.
Yeah, I mean, somebody goes through all that trouble to get rid of stuff. Sounds kind of suspicious, if you ask me. Um, and you're also mentioning there's potential ties between Majestic 12 and like the disclosure and Kennedy
Yeah, so
Kennedy assassination.
I heard this crazy story on how obviously you have um, Eisenhower before Kennedy, and he was big into he had the pact with the Greys, and kept everything secret.
Presidents seemed to be kind of in the know like back then. Like
Yeah, you
it kind of like because I guess it was because it was so fresh. Like
right, and
so
yeah, during
they
that
were in the
time, I
know.
would think that would be like the biggest like hysteria going on in the U.S.
Yeah,
I know we were in between wars and we had a lot of other stuff going on, but that would be like the hype for that with all the sightings and all that. So the story I heard was that obviously becoming a president, you're briefed on everything going on because pretty much you're taking over somebody else's spot. So obviously you need to come in where they're leaving off. And so when Kennedy was briefed on all, the extraterrestrial stuff, UFO stuff, obviously Majestic 12 and all of that, if they were hiding things or whatnot, he wanted to tell everybody, like, make it public. Like, oh, we need to tell everybody this is going on. Obviously, nobody wants that to happen, the government. And I think at that time, if you just blurted out, even at this time, if you just blurted out, hey, this is real, all this is real, here's the proof, here's that, there would be mass hysteria. I think people would freak out because they wouldn't know how to handle all of that being quote unquote real. So he had back to Kennedy, he thought like, hey, we should tell people, like, people need to know. Obviously, government doesn't want it to happen.
A lot of people don't want it to happen in the secret.
So the story goes that the assassination of Kennedy was brought on by the Majestic 12 to keep everything hush hush because he was going to expose everything. Now, I've watched stuff on the Kennedy assassination. I mean, they have camera angles of this, and they said that there's more than one shooter, but they could never.
Oh yeah, there's so many different theories.
There's so many different theories, and I believe there's even a theory that Lee Harvey Oswald was a part of the government at one point.
Oh really? Hey,
so
anything's possible.
But just hearing that story, it was just crazy how it all tied in. And, like, obviously, we will never know why Kennedy was killed. And, and they killed.
Because if they did kill him off, I mean, obviously, they're not going to say it. So, it's like.
And, I mean, they killed Lee Harvey Oswald as well. So, was he going to rap, like, hey, I shot them because, they didn't want him to leak this, so kill both of them, so nobody knows.
Win-win for them, Maybe that was like the end of like letting presidents know, Maybe that was like Kennedy was just like the example, like, oh yeah, we definitely can't just go letting all the presidents know about all of this now. We're gonna have to like keep the disclosure even from the president to a certain extent. I'm sure like presidents like know some stuff now, but like, I mean, I think
they whatever's there, they obviously know. But
you think like George Bush and like even like Obama and stuff, like, no.
There's an interview where they ask Obama, and he pretty much just, his facial expressions and stuff, he doesn't say anything, but the way he answers it, it's like, come on, like there's obviously something going on.
Yeah.
But all presidents are hush hush. The only one that seemed that it wasn't gonna be is Kennedy, and he was killed.
Yep, and they all probably just see that reference and they're like, all right, yeah, like nothing's worth like being killed and family being jeopardized, and just to tell people that aliens are real. So that's wild.
I would love to dive deeper into that whole side of the Kennedy assassination and see if I can find more info and see if that rabbit hole is bigger, because it's a pretty cool concept and it makes sense. It's the right era, and just how everything, I mean, he was taking over for Eisenhower and all of that.
So, question: do you think? All right, so Majestic 12 formed after, like, from the Roswell kind of mess going on. Obviously, the speculation with Roswell, the ship crashed. There's possibly alien bodies. Reverse engineered the ship and brought all the stuff to Area 51 to work on the new technology, or like everything that had to do with pretty much the crash. Majestic 12, was formed kind of as like a committee like around it. I joined the Majestic 12, became the Majestic 13, but that's
later on in the timeline.
Later on in the timeline. Just kidding. Do you think they maybe like disbanded or like? I think it's like something that could still be going down now, or like some equivalent of like that same type of committee
I think
squad.
there's obviously, we know now, like, that there's other groups or agencies for the government that deal with the UFO stuff and the extraterrestrial stuff and things that they want to hide from the public. But I believe the Majestic 12 was always the Majestic 12, and obviously they were formed in 47. So the chances of them all being alive still,
Oh yeah, probably not.
probably not. And they've since retired. But
Yeah.
I think that was like the OG original group,
You ever see like
and then
Kingsman?
it just grew from there.
You ever see the movie Kingsman
I don't think so.
with like the secret agents and stuff like that? Kind of like James Bondy kind of like thing.
No.
Oh, you should watch it. It's pretty cool. Because that's what it reminds me of. The original Kingsman were like back in England back in the day, and they kind of formed like during like weird political things going on, and they were like they're kind of like CIA slash like spy agency, like James Bond type stuff that formed. And the original ones, obviously, they got like way older, and like the new generations kind of continued it. So I don't know if it was. I was thinking of something like that. Like obviously, there's like the OG Majestic 12, which many of them are probably not around. Maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe I should research every single like person named on here and see what's up. I'm sure that maybe people have interviewed them or asked them about it, and
Hmm.
they're just like, yeah, that's fake. I don't know what you're talking about. But I don't know. Whatever they found out or whatever they worked on, I'm sure it, you know, like went on to other projects and stuff like that, and maybe everything's under the same umbrella of that foundation. You know, it's like all these different sub organizations, like all under that umbrella.
I know, even Bob Lazar worked at Area 51. He even said there was certain areas that even he couldn't go into, or he was told, like, you don't need to worry about this. So, I mean, even, you know, supposedly working there and reverse engineering these crafts, there was still information that he was withheld from.
Yeah, it's all different levels of clearance, all above top secret. Uh, yeah, very interesting stuff to think about. I wonder how many of you out there listening knew anything about the Majestic 12. I'm sure it's like a name you've have at least heard of, but if not, I'm glad you listening with us today because it's a cool subject and we wanted to spread the knowledge.
Whether, obviously it's discredited as being fake and everything else, but the concept of there being that group and the events that we have in our history for, you know, extraterrestrial and UFO, it would make sense that they would fit in there. There had to have been some sort of group to handle all of that stuff.
Yeah, you're not gonna have like a something like a Roswell crash and then just like all right, just the
Yeah,
local police
yeah,
station.
the police and waste management going out to clean it up.
Yeah,
They're no way, no
no,
way.
no, no power like no kind of power would just let that just let that sweep over, you know. So there was definitely some kind of group, and maybe they just happen to be called the Majestic 12. So that's all I'm saying.
Yep.
So I mean, that's all I got about it.
Yeah, if anybody's interested in trying to dive deeper into this, it's very hard to find information on this.
Yeah,
Obviously, a lot of it is just marked as fake, but
it's kind of
to
a
your
quick one.
yeah, and
So
for you know, just to get your brain rolling and your own thoughts on it, it's definitely an interesting thing
yeah,
that
yeah.
gets into
Here we
there.
go. The voice cracking again. I'm every episode I go through puberty, so just bear with me, y'all. Uh, yeah, I mean, if you're bored too, you can actually just go through them and read them all. Just a lot of it's just saying like, yeah, this is disclosure. Make sure no one finds out about this. These are only for Majestic eyes only, and just
And
talks about the events around that time.
I know for me, I like whether it's real or fake. I like how something fits into,
The grand puzzle.
yeah, like the storyline, and it just makes things for me align a little better,
Hmm.
or not so much have a better understanding, but it's like a puzzle piece that to me that fits in there, and that's why I enjoyed this. To me, I believe that it was a real group. There's no way. Maybe maybe it wasn't MJ12,
Yeah,
but there had to have been something. It had to have
yeah.
started
I
from somewhere.
I think it was. I think it was even called MJ12. I'm gonna say it. Like maybe the contents of like what they did wasn't as could have been a little exaggerated than what people are saying about them, but like you said, like there has to be some kind of response to a situation like that. And if they did find like if the Roswell crash really was a weather balloon, which we all know that's just not the case. But if it was a weather balloon, then yeah, whatever. The local police and whatever cleaned it up. It's gone. But if there's anything else, like best believe there's going to be some kind of group organization to look into it, or even like a couple people, but it
If a,
just happened to be 12 people.
if a weather balloon was to crash, in a field,
Yep.
the FBI and the U.S. military aren't going to be there to look at
Yeah, exactly. So it's yeah, Majestic 12 was real.
it.
I'm gonna say it. If you don't believe me, fight me. I'm here.
That's fine. Believe what you want.
Or you can believe what you want. But yeah, Majestic 12.
Majestic 12. But yeah, so that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, a couple announcements. I know you're leaving on your tour. I don't know if you want to.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna be gone. I leave next Thursday, and I'm gonna be gone for an entire month. So we're gonna attempt the remote thing. I know it can be done. It's gotta kind of finagle it a little bit, but yeah, I'm gonna be gone with my band. We're going across the whole North America, U.S. and Canada. So I'll be back in November, early November, and yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. Nice little getaway
Nice.
from my normal job to a different kind of job that I enjoy more. So it'll be cool. Hopefully, we see some crazy stuff,
Something you got to try to find something. I know you'll be in a lot of places.
desolate
So
areas too. Yeah, we got to drive from like Denver to LA, so that's a whole bunch of stuff. We're gonna be in Western Canada a lot too, like
nice.
Calgary and Edmonton and Winnipeg and um, a lot of those areas. So, and a lot of them are gonna be kind of like north. So I'm hoping I can see like the Northern Lights
You
or
should
something.
be. You should be able
I'm gonna
to.
try so hard.
You should be able
Maybe a UFO. You know,
to.
maybe we'll all just wake up like with 4 hours missing, and I don't know. Everybody's just dazed and confused. Yeah.
So, but so we have the technology to do this remote. We're gonna do it. As far as timing in the day, maybe hopefully we'll be able to stick to Thursdays, but it might get a little weird.
Yeah. I guess I'll have to hit you up and let you know how the schedule is, because a lot of the times I don't know, like I could probably do it like after like we play or before we play, because I'm not gonna want to like watch every single band every single like for 30 days. Like a lot of the times we're just gonna be hanging out in the green room or like wherever.
And are you with all the same bands this entire time?
Almost. So like we're doing some dates out to the main tour starts in L.A., but it's a band called Citizen, a band called Prince Daddy and the Hyena, a band called Military Gun, and then us, Restraining Order, and we're doing like some dates with Prince Daddy and the Hyena because they're from Albany, so they're like local.
Okay.
So we're gonna do some dates together, heading out to California, and then we meet up with the rest of the tour, do the up the coast into Canada. We come out through like Wisconsin, and we do a little Midwest stuff. Ends in like Chicago or Toledo, and then we meet up with another band, Scowl, and we meet up with them in Pennsylvania, and then we go down the coast because we're both playing a festival in Florida called The Fest in Gainesville. So that's it. And this is going to be from the 30th, September 30th to October 29th is the last show. And then we're going to just drive straight up from Gainesville. That's going to be fun.
So anybody listening that doesn't know Keith or doesn't know his bands and you're want to follow him and maybe go to a show, follow them on Instagram.
Yeah, it's at Restraining Order HC. Yep. Shout outs to my friend Snackman who listens to this podcast because we're playing in North Carolina one of the dates, so we're gonna link up.
Nice. But he talked about his remember the episode where I like told him that because he's Jewish he might like have some insight about the Hebrews being from the future. Yep.
He said yes, he's from the future.
Nice.
So yep, that's it.
Short and sweet.
Everybody have a great night, day, whatever it is.
Day, night, week.
Peace.
See ya. Wrong button.